Hey, how's it going, guys? Got a netbook review for you. What you're looking at here is the Asus Eee 1005HA-PU1X. I know that's a mouthful considering the previous models like the 701 and the 901, but hear me out. This is one of their newer laptops or netbooks. It's the next available size, so this jumps up from the 8.9 inch screen on the 901 to a 10.1 inch screen. And there's a few other upgrades on this, and I'll talk about that in a second. I had the 901 previously, and the reason I don't have it now is the fan was actually faulty, and when I returned it to the manufacturer to use the warranty, they said they couldn't repair it, they could only replace it. And then when they contacted Asus, they found out that it wasn't in production anymore, and so they just gave me my money back. So I took the money, spent a little bit of extra cash, went on Amazon and got this model, and I'll tell you some of the reasons why I decided to get this one. Some of the specs, and I'm kind of cheating a little bit, got the Wi-Fi on, gonna read about this netbook on this netbook. This comes with a 10.1 inch 1024 by 600 LED resolution screen. The processor is an Intel Atom N280, and it runs at I think about 1.66 gigahertz. There is 1 gigabyte of DDR RAM. However, if you look here at the bottom, pardon me, there is a base plate right here with a screw. You can remove the base plate, take out the 1 gigabyte RAM chip, and stick in a 2 gigabyte chip. Now when you do that, you're gonna have to adjust some settings for it to read the new chip, but if you go on Amazon, there's a couple of people who can walk you through it. It's really pretty simple. The hard drive is listed as 160 gigabytes. And actually, if you right click on my computer and check it out, it actually lists the netbook as having a C drive and a D drive. Now I don't know if it's one single hard drive that's partitioned into two elements, or if it's actually two separate physical drives. However, what leads me to believe, I think it's probably a single hard drive with a partition. This has a feature where on startup, if you start this computer up, if you hit F9 3 times during startup, what happens is this will reboot Windows. So you're not going to need a Windows C or a separate driver. You can just reload Windows and restart this computer just using itself. Just hit F9 3 times during startup, and you can just like reinstall your system. And they recommend that you back up your data somewhere else when you do that. So that leads me to believe that it's a single drive, and you're going to end up wiping everything if you reinstall Windows on this. So that's kind of a nice feature though. You're never going to have to worry about having to have a Windows XP disk. Everything's on here. If you catch a virus or something like that, just hit F9 3 times and you're fine. So that's a nice kind of like little thing to have. In addition to that, what else can I talk about? Oh, I can talk about the exterior. I'll just give you guys a look right here. Show this in the light. You'll have the power jack, VGA output for in case you want to hook this up to a monitor, USB port, and a Kensington lock, which I think looks a little bit too close to the USB port. I'll try to put them both in and see if you can use them at the same time. The speakers come out from the bottom right here, and on the right side you got an Ethernet port, 2 more USB drives, a microphone, headphone jack, and a SD/MMC card slot. Now to open this, you just press in, and right now I have the original dummy card that came with the netbook. You can just buy a separate SD card if you want extra memory. Now, laying this guy down, as I said before, 10-inch screen, and there is a 1.3 megapixel webcam that's pre-installed on it. Now, while we're looking at this, Asus is really pushing this new design, which is a clamshell design. I think it's fine. A lot of people don't like it because it's glossy, and because of that you're going to attract fingerprints. I don't really care. I buy my gear to use it, not to look pretty. So that's another thing. If you look at the touchpad here, they've actually put like these little raised bumps, so there is a texture on it. Now I don't really mind it, but if I had a choice, I would like it to be smooth like the handrest, and if they were going to put bumps, I would rather the bumps just be along the perimeter, just to let me know. The mouse bar is a single bar, although you can left and right click. It's just presented as a single bar. I guess they just thought it made a cleaner look. One great thing though about having this being a larger size than the 901 is, if you look, full size shift keys, and the keyboard is larger. I would guess it's about 80% the size of a normal keyboard. And the great thing about that is, whereas previous iterations of the netbook I would have to 2-finger type, with this I can actually touch type. So that's great. And combined with the fact that I have this 10-inch screen, I can actually do work. I mean, whereas other versions I would kind of spend an hour or two on the internet and just check email, maybe look at some stuff on YouTube, I could actually see myself typing a document or writing an essay on this. This screen is a little bit larger than a normal piece of paper that I would read, so I could just size everything like a document and work off of it. So that's great. It's actually starting to approach comfort level instead of just convenience level in terms of function. One thing, speaking of the clamshell design, they're going with a glossy screen, which I don't like. I wish it was a matte finish, and let me show you why. If you look here, you can see that glare. Now this is fine indoors, and that's fine, and when it's dark, the glossy means that the colors and the brightness pop out easier, but the fact that it's glossy also means that if you're outside in a cafe on a sunny day, that glare is going to get on your nerves, and you're going to have to adjust your seat or find a different place to sit so that you can actually see what's on the screen. So much would have rather had a matte finish on the screen. The touchpad is actually quite nice though. Texture aside, is the fact that I can just touch the edge and I can scroll up and down on a page just by touching on the edge, so I don't have to actually bring the cursor onto the track bar on the sides. And if I put my fingers here, sort of like on an iPhone, if I drag them out, it'll zoom in on the document and make things larger. If I pinch, it'll zoom out and make everything smaller. It's kind of a nice little feature. And I haven't really messed with the settings yet, but apparently I can take it and rotate things and stuff like that, but I would have to download some other software. But very nice feature. It's cool. It means I don't have to like scroll around and move the mouse cursor all over the place in order to use this system. Comes standard with Windows XP, which, as I said before, you don't need a support CD to reload into it, and it has some other programs on it. For example, you get Microsoft Office, however you have to register it after I think something like 20 uses, so you're gonna have to buy it. I just happen to have a copy, a home edition, so I just installed it, had no problems with that. This also has Wi-Fi on it. I believe it's the 802.11 version, and it also has Bluetooth, and I haven't had any problems with picking up Wi-Fi signals or using the Bluetooth with my cell phone and stuff like that. So very functional. It's a little bit heavier. It's 2.81 pounds with the battery, and it's a little bit larger, so this is a little bit too large for me to fit in my day pack and satchel, but I use a tiny one. Might be worth it to get a larger day pack just to fit this thing through. It's not overly large and it's not overly heavy. It's just a little bit heavier than some of the other netbooks out there, but for that you get a lot of function, which brings me to the battery life. That's the one thing that made me definitely want to get this. Asus lists this as having 10.5 hours of battery life on their 6L battery, and that's incredible. Now most of you are probably jaded. I mean, with buying technology, a lot of the numbers are pretty optimistic, like you have to tone down the screen and use it on low usage. But with the Wi-Fi on, with the Bluetooth on, listening to music, typing, and having the internet on, I was able to get a solid 8 hours, which is incredible. I mean, you can get a full day's work on this netbook without having to recharge it. And speaking of recharging it, when you plug this in, this recharges incredibly quick. I plugged it in from near empty, and it's recharged in 2.5 to 3 hours, and that's incredible. That means you can keep plugging this in and using it and getting a lot of usage out of it. And combined with the functionality of the system, it's not the most powerful system like in terms of RAM and CPU speed, but it's enough for you to get most of your tasks done. And yeah, I can't recommend this enough. I've been using it for a couple of weeks now, and everywhere I take it, I just am blown away by how convenient everything is laid out and how much uses I can get out of this. In fact, sometimes when I'm home, I'm still using this and not my desktop, just for the fact that it's small enough and light enough I can work from my bed. So I'll just lay in bed and just type in the morning without having to get up and sit at my desk. So that's just my little spiel about the Asus 1005HA-PU1X. It's great netbook. You can get it on Amazon for about 380 bucks, so it's a little bit more expensive than some of the other leading netbooks out there, but for that kind of battery life and this kind of performance, I think it's worth it. Thanks for watching, guys, and have a great day.